guys, I'm so excited for this video. I've had a lot of requests for it and I've been wanting to share this with you for a while, so finally found some time. We went on a strategic planning retreat over the weekend, me and my husband and my business partner Monica and her husband. And I've been planning it for a while, and I was anxious to see how it would go, and I'm so happy to report it was amazing. We are all so fired up and fueled up, and it was so good. So I want to share this with you in hopes that you can apply these strategies to your own business and get something like this done before the new year. And I'm going to tell you kind of what I recommend that you do. I'm going to share our agenda with you and then totally make it your own. We decided to go away. We went to Indiana because they're open and we really wanted to go to a restaurant. And it's a short drive for us. So we stayed in a hotel there and we were able to eat dinner out, and that was really lovely. But you don't have to do that. Our kind of backup plan was to just hire a sitter and go to their house and do it in their living room. So you don't need to go anywhere. That's just made it a little more fun for us. In life, I find that if I can make an event out of something that's work, it's so much more fun. So that's just kind of how I roll. But that is totally, extra and not necessary to the success in this. So in our strategic planning, here's my main takeaway, okay? Just like, this is sort of a word I've been using a lot lately. And I don't think it's my word for 2021, but it's definitely a contender. Intentionality. It's all about being intentional with the meeting. So what you don't want is to just get in a room with your spouse or a business partner. It doesn't have to be your spouse. Not everybody's spouse is working the business with them or invested in it yet. I definitely recommend that you get them involved if they're not, but maybe that's not where you're at yet, and that's okay. Doing it with a team member or another, in Zaya, a Zaya sister that you work with and know with, just as some ideas. But I recommend that you don't just get into the room and say, okay, let's talk about it. I think you need to be intentional about your time to really maximize the experience and have it work for you. So I booked a hotel room that had a little bit of an area for meetings. So ours was like a corner suite, and it had a couch and some chairs and a little table, and that's where we met. I just didn't want us to be like sitting on a bed and renting a conference room space in this. The framework for what we were doing was too expensive. So we just asked for a little bit of an upgraded room, and that was perfect. I wrote an agenda, and I started working on the agenda in October because I really didn't want to miss anything. I wanted it to be good. Hopefully my agenda helps make that a little bit easier for you. Supplies. So I ordered those from Amazon, those big sticky notes that you can stick to the wall, and we wrote on those. And my husband borrowed and brought a chart stand, and we carried in the chart stand into the hotel, and that was perfect. And I brought, pencils and highlighters and pens and notebooks and a bunch of these, and we hardly used any of that, but at least we were prepared. And another thing that we did that was really effective is that I gave everyone a role. I didn't just want it to be like the Katie, show. So I gave Monica some reports to run, and she was also in charge of snacks. Those were amazing. We'll talk about those in a minute. And Chris was in charge of some reports, and Troy was in charge of some runnings of numbers and things. And what ended up happening is that everybody really leveled up. Like Troy came not only with the reports, but a full slideshow presentation that was absolutely beautiful. He put our pictures in it and made a trend line and all sorts of things. And that was amazing. I feel like Monica, not only did she run the reports she needed, but the snack boxes were like the most gorgeous. They were in these like glitter boxes. They were absolutely beautiful. So everybody just leveled up, and Chris was like super on it with the numbers, and he was the one that reminded me about the chart stand. So anyway, giving everybody a role makes them feel like part of it. And that's, you know, if you haven't included your spouse or your partner in your business like that, that really does help everything just feel better. Okay, and then I think the most important thing is we had a plan. So the agenda was part of the plan, but also the whole kind of day was mapped out. What time are we leaving? Okay, this is when we're eating. This is when we're starting. This is when we're going to finish. This is, you know, and this is what we really hope to accomplish. So having some time to put thought into it before you go is very useful. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. And I need to write back text. Okay, I have a call in half an hour and it got pushed back, so I just had to respond that that was okay. All right, so let me show you, is it this? Nope, it's this. Okay, so here is our agenda. So I just started with, I showed everybody our goals for the day at the beginning, and I didn't give them this agenda until we got there, though I wanted it to be sort of a surprise. I mean, they kind of knew what was coming, but let's walk through it as we go. So we started with the analysis of 2020, and that was the best way to start. I actually moved stuff around a lot of times, and I ended with starting with this, and I'm so glad I did, because starting with seeing what we did was the most motivating. We were all so fired up and so excited to see the growth. So the boys took 2019 numbers and ran them against 2020 numbers. We did month-by-month comparison. We did rep versus rep count and group volume, and we also did a commission comparison, so we could see the percentage of growth in each category, and that was absolutely insane, amazing. And that's where Troy kind of did his presentation, and that was really, really cool. So that's something, the analysis that you'd want to do beforehand, so you can bring it to the meeting and say, look at what we did. The month-by-month map. So for us, it was really helpful to write out all the things coming up in 2021. So like we know, for example, we're going to Cabo in January. So that's important to note, because it's when you're planning, you just remember that you've got like that trip. So we kind of listed all the trips, all the events, all the company things we know of into the calendar, so that as we're planning other things, we know what else is there. So that was very helpful. And then we did goal setting. Actually, I think we might have like kind of done this, and then this, just because it made sense, but either way. So based on our analysis, we were able to make good goals for team volume, rep count, our paychecks, and any other goals we had. Like all of our goals are to pay off our house in 2021. So we wrote that down. Okay, and then quarter targets kind of goes with the goal setting. So all of this took, I feel like it was a good hour. It was very exciting and a very good jumping off point. We took a nice break. I think Monica gave us her snack boxes. And then we got to what I thought was the hardest part of the whole thing, this middle section. Like the first part was fun and thrilling. The second part is a little hard for me, because I'm a really positive person, and focusing on my weaknesses is challenging for me. I definitely know what they are. I just don't like to talk about them a lot. So it was harder. So we did the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we did a poster, a big note, for each one. We started with the strengths, then we went to the weaknesses. We made it about the team, not about the company, and not about us individually. So about the team, what are we really strong in? It was funny, Monica and I really were enjoying that section, and Chris is like, okay, that's what my team does too. We need to move on. And I'm like, So we moved on to weaknesses. That one was hard. Opportunities for growth, and then threats. And what the boys brought, because they both have corporate backgrounds, to this meeting is not only do we get those up there, but how do we play to our strengths? how can we improve our weaknesses? Like, you don't just put it out there, but you kind of go back and use it. And we ended up doing that kind of at the end. It's like we listed them, you kind of have to process it, and then at the end of the meeting, kind of circled back to some of those things, and that was really helpful. But that part did just feel a little heavier to me because it's, I don't know, it was just a little harder than the first part. Then we talked about monthly incentives and something we're working on, and that was kind of detail work, so that was a little bit harder too. And also more, that was a little bit less of the guys and more of me and Monica, because we know that sort of stuff. So in getting their input was still important, but just a little harder. They're more kind of big picture. And then we took another break. We came back to work on our mission and vision statement, and I was going to have them all journal, but I had already started it, and we were kind of getting to be in the overtime category, so they were like, just pull up what you've started with. So I pulled that up, and then they added to it, so that was really great. I don't know that you need to do it that way to already have one in mind, but it worked really well for us, and we wrote it up on the board. And then what we did, which isn't here, we took that mission and vision statement and our values, and we looked back at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to see if we could bring in our strengths to our vision and our mission, and counter some of those weaknesses. It was really cool. I don't have a good example right offhand, but maybe I can pull up the picture. So one of the weaknesses, let me see if I can find it. So I took pictures of the poster board while they were up there. Okay, so I know. So one of the weaknesses we felt was that we need to really develop people in the downline and make sure they're feeling supported. So our mission statement involves the phrase develop leaders. So we are working on that weakness in our mission statement. We're developing leaders, and that became one of our action items that I'll talk about in just a second. So how can we develop leaders? That was a weakness. Our action is to develop leaders by, so you're creating sort of a link between things. It's not just like you're throwing stuff at the wall. It all kind of circles back and comes back to support your business. And so then at the end, we went back and we wrote, we summarized and we wrote out some action items. And one of those action items about the development of the downline is to run regular reports and reach out to those people that are really killing it, and just making sure that they feel supported. So that is how we navigated this. And then of course we had dinner and cocktails, and that was so fun, and we could celebrate and keep talking. And then what happened was, on the way home in the car, I pulled up my laptop and I'm kind of entering this stuff in, and we're all talking some more. So that was why going away was a little bit nice, because you have sort of the spillover effect. So whatever you started, you kind of keep going with it. And then what was really cool, you guys, is when we got home, like Troy and Chris both already did extra stuff to support what we talked about, like spreadsheets and formulas and things like that we can use. And you really see the buy-in. Not that they weren't bought in before, but there's something about going away, focusing on this, having a role. It was just really, really great. So I want everyone who can benefit from this to do it, and I think we all can. It was just, it's just intentionality, being intentional about growing your business and treating your business like a business, because then it will pay you like a business. So let me know if you guys have other questions. You can comment on the YouTube or on the post, wherever this is posted, and I'll get back to you. But I'd love to know, maybe tag me if you do one of these. I'd love to see how it's working for you. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.